So, what forges the leader who can actually hold an entire empire together when everything's falling apart? Today, we're going to dig into the life of Ali ibn Abi Talib to figure that out. We'll uncover the incredible trials that shaped him, from a young boy raised by the Prophet himself to a legendary warrior, and finally, into the one person everyone believed could save them from total collapse.
All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. We're going to kick things off with a caliphate in absolute crisis. Then we'll rewind to see how the man was made, starting with his time as the Prophet's protege. We'll see him become the lion of the battlefield and then develop his wisdom beyond the sword. We'll look at how a prophecy was fulfilled, all of it leading up to the moment he had to bear the incredible weight of leadership.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The year is 656 CE. The Islamic Caliphate, which is basically a superpower of its time, is suddenly thrown into complete and utter chaos. The very heart of the empire has just been struck a fatal blow.
What happened? Well, the third caliph, Uthman, has just been assassinated, and not just anywhere, in his own home. This one single act sends these massive shockwaves of fear and uncertainty across the entire empire.
But you have to understand, this was so much more than just a political vacuum. We're talking about a massive empire, stretching all the way from the borders of India to the Mediterranean. And for the very first time, it was completely leaderless. The fear, the very real fear, was that the whole thing would just splinter and fall apart.
So, in the capital city, Medina, right in the middle of all this turmoil, a consensus starts to form. The people there turn to one man they believe has the strength and the will to hold it all together, Ali. He accepts this enormous responsibility, which, of course, begs the question, how did he become the one person everyone believed could save them?
To really get why they chose him, we have to go back, way back. We need to see how the boy became the legend and how, in a way, his entire life had been preparing him for this one single terrifying moment.
You see, Ali's story is, well, it's totally unique. And that's because his upbringing was directly shaped by his older cousin, the Prophet Muhammad, right from the time he was just a little kid.
Think about this bond. It was forged early and tested constantly. When a famine hit Mecca, the Prophet took 5-year-old Ali into his own home to raise him. By the time he was 10, Ali was one of the very first children to accept the new faith. And then, as a young man, he literally put his life on the line, acting as a decoy in the Prophet's bed so he could escape assassins. This wasn't just family. This was a relationship built on deep mentorship and absolute loyalty right from the very beginning.
Of course, that kind of devotion gets tested, right? And for Ali, the test came on the battlefield. It was in the heat of combat that he would earn his legendary status as a warrior, who was, by all accounts, second to none.
I mean, in every single major conflict, Ali was right there, at the absolute heart of the fighting. Badr was his first big battle, and he was a key champion. At Uhud, he took 16 wounds while fiercely defending the Prophet. And then, at the Battle of the Trench, he faced the enemy's most feared warrior in a one-on-one duel and won, completely shattering their morale. He wasn't just a soldier, he was the champion.
Okay, so this brings us to what you could call the ultimate test of his military skill, the fortress of Khaybar. The Muslim army had been trying to take it for days, and every single assault had failed. People were starting to think this place was literally impenetrable, and morale was hitting rock bottom.
And just when desperation was setting in, the Prophet makes this stunning announcement. I mean, just imagine the suspense. He doesn't name anyone. He just says that tomorrow, victory will come from a man who is loved by God. The entire army just waits, holding its breath, to see who would be chosen.
The next day, Ali is chosen. He leads the charge and is met by Khaybar's champion, a warrior named Marhab, a guy they said was as good as 1,000 men. In single combat, Ali defeats him. And that one victory, it just shattered the defenders' will to fight. It was the key that unlocked the entire fortress and secured one of the most important victories for the early community.
But, and this is so important, true leadership requires so much more than just being a great warrior. Ali was also being deliberately groomed to be a skilled diplomat, a trusted scribe, and a wise administrator. He was evolving from a warrior into a statesman.
You can almost see this progression, like it's a training program. Step 1, he's the scribe, trusted to write one of the most important peace treaties. Step 2, he's the diplomat. He's sent to Yemen, not with an army, but as an envoy, and with his words alone, he peacefully persuades the whole region. And finally, step 3, the governor. He's appointed as their chief judge, a role that takes immense wisdom. He was clearly being cultivated for tasks that required an intellect far beyond the battlefield.
But it wasn't just his own actions, you know? There were also these very specific, very public declarations made by the Prophet that really cemented Ali's unique standing within the community.
And these statements, they were a huge deal. They were seen as a clear and public endorsement. When you compare him to Aaron, who was Moses' brother and his right-hand man, everyone gets that. Or when you declare that loving him is a mark of a true believer. These words gave Ali a special kind of legitimacy that everyone understood.
And all of this, it brings us full circle. We're right back where we started. The chaos and the crisis of 656 CE, with a leaderless empire teetering on the edge of collapse.
And now it all just clicks into place, right? When the people of Medina looked for someone to lead them out of the darkness, they saw the Prophet's most devoted protege, the unconquered lion of the battlefield, and the wise statesman, all wrapped up in one person.
So ultimately, his rise to leadership wasn't some kind of accident or a surprise. When you look at it this way, it was the logical culmination of a lifetime spent right at the center of the most pivotal events, a life that seemed to be a long preparation for a crisis exactly like this one.
So it leaves us with this question. What does it really take to forge a leader for a time of total crisis? Is it loyalty that's been tested since childhood? Is it courage that's been proven against impossible odds on the battlefield? Or is it the wisdom to know when to persuade instead of fight? The story of Ali suggests it's not just one of those things, but the rare and incredibly powerful combination of them all.